everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another, not survival challenge. No, this is the first ever Ruga Rabbit faction analysis. Now, if you haven't been on my channel for that long, you may not know that I used to do character analysis a long time ago in another life, but I haven't done them in a while. I kind of stopped, but I really like doing them. My Christmas gift to me this year is that I'm gonna start doing fucking character analysis again. So, you know, right alongside these hour-and-a-half long survival challenges, you get the occasional little nice appetizer that's a character analysis or something. And for today's analysis, we're gonna be going over the Illuminates because they just fucking came out in Helldivers 2. Brand new faction, just released them. Haven't seen them since the first Helldivers, and now I'm killing a bunch of them in Helldivers 2, and I wanna talk about them. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, if you join the membership, you get videos early. But I'm wasting up your time. Let's get started. Well, first things first, the Illuminates aren't actually called the Illuminates. They're called the Squith, I think. I'll put it down below. I don't, however you pronounce that ugly, awful goblin name. Illuminates are actually a name that Super Earth calls them, and not a name that they call themselves. You know, Super Earth saw them and was like, hey, they kind of glow. Let's fucking call them Illuminates, because they have zero creativity, apparently. So Illuminate sort of became their unofficial faction name, whereas Squith is their race name. Kind of how like Super Earth is a faction, but humans is the race. Same thing. Illuminates, Squith. The Squith are a squid-like race of people that evolved from an entirely aquatic world that are said to be a millennia older than humanity, which, I gotta be honest, not that impressive. In the game, the lore and the humans from Super Earth all talk about the Illuminates as if they're this ancient race that's so much older than humanity. But aren't humans and their ancestors 6 million years old? A millennia is only 1,000 years. That's not that much older. Even if we don't count human ancestors and just talk about Homo sapiens, who are estimated to be like 200,000 years old, that's still like, who gives a shit? Humans are 200,000 years old and the Illuminates are 201,000 years old? The fuck they bragging about? That's like if you're a twin and your older twin brags because they were born like 5 minutes before you were. I mean, seriously, how much more technological advancement and evolution could they have gone through in just 1,000 years? Some form of human has been around for 6 million years, and the vast majority of our technological advancements has happened in the last 500. The fuck we been doing? Regardless of how much older than humanity they were far more technologically advanced. They were the first species to acquire faster than light travel, which allowed them to travel to other parts of the universe before anybody else. This is mostly due to their entire society being built around knowledge collecting and data and information. Like, they were obsessed with becoming more intelligent than they were. The only thing they cared about was scientific advancement, and how they did that was studying other worlds and other places and learning what they can from those places. One of these worlds that it came across was called Earth. That's right, not Super Earth. At the time the Illuminates came into contact with Earth, Super Earth was nothing more than a political party. And when they got there, they just decided to do what they do with all planets, which is just study it and see what happens. And this is where the Illuminates fucked up. Because of their whole obsession with becoming more intelligent and acquiring knowledge, they just sort of sat there and watched Earth evolve over several hundred years. And as they were watching, they saw this political party, Super Earth, go from being a very small niche movement to becoming basically the dominant political party on the planet, that eventually broke out into a civil war on Earth where all of these different political factions went up against each other, and Super Earth wiped them all out, becoming the not only dominant political party, but the only political party. The government no longer existed, and the only government there was Super Earth. They even changed the fucking planet's name to Super Earth. Can you fucking imagine that? That would be like the Nazis being so fucking amazing at conquering shit that they just changed the name of the planet Earth to Nazi. I don't think you could be more successful as a political party than that. Now, I don't know if it was arrogance on their part or possibly just morbid curiosity to try and see what was going to happen, but the Illuminates sat there and did absolutely nothing as the biggest threat in the known universe rose to power. They just watched it fucking happen. After a while of just sitting there and being fucking useless and just watching Super Earth get more and more powerful and having their technology advance at insanely fast rates, because it's amazing the technological advancements you can have when you just don't give a fuck about morality in any way. They had literally no laws limiting them from scientific advancement. They were actually catching up rather rapidly to the Illuminates. So the Illuminates, with their all-knowing wisdom, decided, you know what? These guys are actually becoming pretty dangerous. Let's go introduce ourselves, tell them that we are here to be peaceful, we don't want to step on their toes, You can do what you want. We're just here to be cool fellas. And after going ahead and doing that, Super Earth responded how any good neighbor would, by slaughtering countless of their people and stealing most of their technology. This led to Super Earth getting FTL travel technology that allowed them to spread their influence across the stars, as well as starting a war with the Illuminate for the purposes of mass genocide. Basically, the entire plot of the game, which is the first Galactic War of Helldivers 1 and the second Galactic War of Helldivers 2, was almost entirely the Illuminate's fault due to just sheer stupidity. Now, there was a lot more involved with the first Galactic War than just the Illuminates and Helldivers fighting. There were a bunch of different factions going to war, but for the purposes of this video, and as it relates solely to the Illuminates, it was basically a very one-sided fight, with Super Earth just constantly bearing down on the Illuminates, trying to wipe them out, and then eventually them losing so many people, having almost their entire race eradicated before they just decided to fuck off out of the universe for a bit. This left Super Earth victorious in the war, and the Illuminates super salty. And for 100 years, they were just pouting and being all pissy, and also planning their revenge war, which they did. 100 years later, a second galactic war started, with the Illuminates not being involved at all, but they saw that shit going down, and they're like, okay, let's revenge now. Sure, why not? So they came back with a bunch of new advanced technology and started massacring humanity by the tens of millions. And that's where we are in the story right now. Now, based on what I've said so far, it may be seeming like the Illuminates are the good guys and Super Earth is just this authoritarian monstrosity that is spreading its influence and slaughtering billions of people across the universe, and it's clearly a good versus bad sort of situation. And while that's true about Super Earth, they're fucking monsters, that doesn't mean that the Illuminates are good guys. There really aren't good guys in the Helldivers universe. I mean, the Illuminates are peaceful, that's cool, but peaceful doesn't mean good. When you look at the general structure of the Illuminates and how they run their society, it's pretty fucked up. The Illuminate race is run by a high council that is made up of all of the brightest minds that exist within the Illuminate people. This council puts all that brain power together to come to decisions of what the entire society is going to do and how it is going to run. They then relay those orders to an AI called the Great Eye that then takes that and mind fucks the entire civilization to do exactly what that higher council told them to do. While on the surface, the Illuminates do have a completely perfect, peaceful utopia, it's only made that way by fucking mind control. The Illuminates do not have their own free will. So I kind of have to say that despite the fact that Super Earth is an authoritarian nightmare, they were kind of sort of completely justified in attacking the Illuminates. Super Earth did not attack the Illuminates because they were mind controlling their own citizens. They attacked the Illuminates because they wanted their technology. So it's not like Super Earth attacked them for the right reasons or anything. But this is an alien species that is capable of mind controlling an entire population to obeying any orders that it deems you to obey, and is willing to use that technology to control its own population. Even though the Illuminates at the time never turned that technology onto Super Earth, they could. Like, what's stopping them? Just whether or not they fucking feel like it? No! Kill all of them! Now, to be fair, I'm not saying that the Illuminates were ever planning on using that technology against humanity. In fact, evidence suggests that they weren't going to do it. However, if you're a human living in the Helldivers universe, and this other race of beings has this technology, and the only thing that's stopping them from using it on you is just they don't want to right now, I'd say that's probably grounds to kill them all. But no, I don't think that they actually intended on using it. For one, throughout the entire course of the First Galactic War, they never do. We don't know if it's because they're not capable of controlling human minds, because maybe human minds function differently than Illuminate minds, so their mind control technology just couldn't adapt to human minds at that time, or perhaps they just didn't do it because it was sort of a nuke situation where we all have nukes, but we don't want to use them because of just the toll is just way too much. The Illuminates weren't actually a warlike race. They had never really done war before, and they've never really had fear of doing war because they were so much more advanced than everybody else. So it's possible that they had just never used mind control as a weapon against an enemy before, and were trying to not take that step. However, in the Second Galactic War, which takes place 100 years after the end of the First Galactic War, that shit's been thrown out. They have no issues with using mind control shit against humans. That's basically their main form of combat right now, is just to invade civilian populations, mind fuck them all, turn them into zombies, and just send them after Super Earth. So clearly their tactics have changed a little bit. Now, this could be for quite a few different reasons. My theory is since they were so close to complete eradication, they just straight up don't have the numbers to fight Super Earth without mind controlling humans and sending them. If you actually fight the Illuminates currently in Helldivers 2, there are overseers that might be 1 out of every 30 or 40 people you kill. And then there's harvesters, which are robots, and there's the fucking flying T things that are also robots. The vast majority of the things you fight are voteless that are just humans turned into zombies. So you actually don't fight that many Illuminates in the Second Galactic War currently, because they can't. They don't have the numbers for it. It's unclear whether or not they always had this technology and just refused to use it, or that they've actually upgraded their technology within those 100 years to now be able to mind control humans. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Illuminate technology, because it doesn't really make sense, right? Like, you have the Helldivers, who are so far below the Illuminates in terms of their technological advancement, it seems kind of impossible that they would even be able to stand up against the Illuminates in a warlike situation. But they did. They didn't just stand up to them, they almost completely eradicated the species. And for me to probably describe, let me tell you a little story about a little game called The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. For you youngins out there, Oblivion was the game that came out before Skyrim. And while Oblivion was really, really fun, it was also super easy to break the fucking game. And I constantly broke that fucking game. The way Oblivion's level up system works is that you have a bunch of different skills, right? And the more you use those skills, the more it levels up. Your overall level is just an average of all the levels of all of your different skills. And the level of the enemies that you fight against are going to be that average level. This sounds like a good system. It's not. During one of my playthroughs, I decided to break the game again, and I figured, okay, let's do it with Conjuration this time, right? There's a skill called Conjuration, which allows you to just summon shit. You can summon monsters, you can summon swords, you can summon armor, whatever. I just sat there one day, and I just started summoning shit over and over and over again. There was no one to fight, you just kept summoning shit. And just to let you know, in Oblivion, you would get experience by summoning the creature, not by the creature killing things. So you could just farm experience by standing there and summoning over and over and over again. I did this at the start of the game during the first Conjuration spell that I got, and just leveled my Conjuration all the way up. And when I say all the way, I mean all the fucking way. Level 100 Conjuration by standing there for hours just constantly summoning shit over and over again. As I said, this was the very start of the game. My highest leveled skill outside of Conjuration was like level 5. And then Conjuration was level 100. So what ended up happening is at the very start of the game, all my skills were 5, but despite that, I could summon a level 100 fucking giant demon golem thing that would just one-shot every enemy that I came across, because my average level was like 20. So I was a fucking glass cannon. I couldn't get hit by anybody. I literally fucked myself in the game because I was completely incapable of fighting against anything, but my golem would just rampage through the whole game. I essentially did the most extreme form of min-maxing, having one stat be super high and ignoring all the others. This is how the Helldivers defeated the Illuminates. The Illuminates had far more advanced technology in every category. Whether it's medicine, space travel, doesn't matter. But the Helldivers put every single point they had into just making big, powerful fucking guns. The Illuminates were not a warlike race. They didn't war at all. They had no reason to. They literally mind-fucked their entire population to all be on the same page. When they came across Super Earth, the people there fascinated them because they had never seen a planet that's just constantly at war with itself. When Super Earth turned on the Illuminates and started blowing them the fuck away, the Illuminates had no idea they were going to be able to do that. It shocked the shit out of them. And then after Super Earth started wiping a bunch of them out, they stole the Illuminate technology and added it to their own. They even took some Illuminate technology that was not created as a weapon and then altered it to make it a weapon, which also shocked the shit out of the Illuminates because they didn't even know that the technology could be used that way. They had no reason to take any part of their scientific advancement and focus it on weapons. It's like you have one peace-loving hippie motherfucker, right? And he creates nuclear fusion. And he's like, I could power my entire city with nuclear fusion. All completely clean energy, no fracking, none of that shit. And then some hillbilly comes out of fucking nowhere, steals the nuclear fusion concept. He's like, oh, I made a nuke with it, and I'm just gonna blow up your fucking city. That hippie's gonna be like, how the fuck? I didn't even know you could do that. What the fuck is that? That's what happened here. The Illuminates are a quintessential example that it doesn't matter how smart you are, how fast you are, how much money your daddy has, none of that shit matters. If you have a big fucking gun, you win. And there really isn't anyone in the Helldivers universe that has a bigger fucking gun than Super Earth. Now, in terms of what form their technology actually takes, is pretty fucking cool. The way it's described in game is that the way that humans took rocks and evolved it eventually into bullets is the same way the Illuminates took electricity and eventually evolved it into their current technology. So, you know, long, long ago, millions and millions of years ago, the first caveman picked up a rock and bashed a motherfucker's head in with it and killed him. Then eventually they decided to start flinging them rocks at people and creating slingshots and shit. And then they started sharpening those rocks and tying them to spears. And they just kept evolving and evolving. And then they got some metal rocks, started fucking with that shit, making swords and shit. And on and on and on. And eventually, we got bullets and explosives and shit. The Illuminates did the same thing with electricity. They took lightning and they fucking tied it to a stick. And due to this, their technology is far more energy-based. Our turrets will fire explosive mortars or be like giant Gatling guns, where their turrets will be massive Tesla towers that just fire lightning at you and instantly obliterate you. And yes, I know the Helldivers have Tesla towers too, but that's because they stole it from the Illuminates. You gotta pay attention, guys. They got all kinds of shit like energy shields and lightning rods and lightning cannons and giant big-ass ships that shoot massive lightning lasers. And they can do all kinds of shit from mind control to matter manipulation, opening up black holes and tearing holes in space to instantly transport between two locations, to being able to distort space-time and all sorts of crazy over-the-top shit. It's pretty cool. Some cool stuff. They're actually, in a lot of ways, kind of like Halo's Covenant, little bit of War of the Worlds, little bit of the Vex from Destiny. There's a nice little sprinkle of a lot of different species in there. All right, so last section of this video, we have to talk about propaganda. Anytime you talk about any faction or character or really any lore whatsoever that exists within the Helldivers universe, it's actually really fucking hard to get to the underlying truth of what actually happened, because 99.9% of the information that you get from the Helldivers game on anything is just propaganda that's spewed out by Super Earth, and it's almost always bullshit, or at least a massive exaggeration of the truth. I haven't looked yet, but I guarantee you there's 100 channels out there that are talking about the Illuminates in videos that are going to talk about them as being expansionists who want to spread their empire and take shit over. That's going to be a common thing you're going to see. There are multiple wikis for Helldivers, and most of them are written as a sort of pseudo role play where they're pretending Super Earth wrote the wiki, so they're giving you the propaganda version of the story. So what I've tried to do in this video is to kind of sideswipe the propaganda in the game and try and find what the actual truth of what happened was. So all right, let me give you an example. I said earlier in the video that the reason why Super Earth went to war with the Illuminates is because they wanted to steal their technology. This is very strongly implied in Helldivers 1 that this is in fact the reason why they did it. There's little lines here and little hints and little winks and nods and jokes that pretty much tell you that that's the case. But that's not what Super Earth told its citizens, and that's not what it actually says in the game. What Super Earth actually tells you, in a sort of wink wink nudge nudge kind of way, is that because the offer of peace that the Illuminates gave to Super Earth was fake. And in reality, the Illuminates had WMDs, which are weapons of mass destruction, in the form of a nanofusion bomb. The game does not tell you outright whether or not this is true or false, but it's clearly fucking false. For one, Helldivers 1 makes it pretty fucking clear the Illuminates don't have that advanced weaponry. That's the only reason why the Helldivers are capable of beating them. Also, at no point in the First Galactic War does anyone in the entire game ever use a nanofusion bomb. It never comes up. It's just used as a reason for Super Earth to scare people into wanting to go to war with the Illuminates. Even after Super Earth nearly wipes them all out and steals all their technology, they still never use a nanofusion bomb. They blew up a planet. Super Earth says the nanofusion bomb has the capability of blowing up an entire planet. No planet's ever blown up in the first Helldivers game. The first planet to ever be blown up was blown up by Super Earth in the Second Galactic War. They did it using Illuminate technology, and it wasn't even a nanofusion bomb. They used dark fluid to open up a black hole, which Illuminates used for traversal technology. They re-engineered their travel technology into a weapon of mass destruction. There's no reason to believe that the Illuminates actually had weapons of mass destruction. It was a lie. It's the same situation when Super Earth tells you that the automatons are socialists and want to eat your babies. Just like they say the Terminators are mindless monsters, despite the fact that there are several hints throughout both games They're actually very intelligent by the way that they can use strategic movements during warfare. On Super Earth, parents will tell their children stories about how the Illuminates eat each other's brains so they can get the knowledge of previous generations and pass it on to new generations, and how the Illuminates are going to show up and eat all of the humans' brains so that they can acquire their knowledge. Is this true? I hope so. It's metal as fuck, but it's probably not. It is most likely just propaganda. So before you play Helldivers 2 and you hear a character say something, or you read on the wiki some shit, or you see in a video some shit that is conflicting with the stuff that I'm saying right now, do me a favor before you go down below and start telling me that I'm wrong. Maybe dig a little bit deeper and try to see if what you're learning is propaganda that is given to you by Super Earth, because that's the way the creators of this game tell its story, or if I'm actually fucking wrong. But that's gonna be all for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, to join the membership, you get videos early. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?